And good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is my morning musings. We are involved in a study of the parables of Jesus, more specifically, the eschatology of the parables of Jesus. And I want to say how much that I appreciate the continuing wonderful remarks and compliments about this series. It's more than obvious that many of you are enjoying this and benefiting from it, and that's why I do it, so that I can just share what I see there as a result of my years of study and what have you. Going through all the works and trying to glean the information. Well, we're in Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following, and I don't have to tell you that Orthodox Christianity has said for centuries, this is about the end of the world. This is about the end of time. After all, it says all the nations will be gathered before him. This has got to be the time of the resurrection. Well, it is the time of the resurrection. It is the time of the coming of the Son of Man. But there's no doubt whatsoever that it is simply wrong to apply it to some imagined end of time event, because, after all, the Bible doesn't even teach about the end of time. But it amazes me, absolutely amazes me, how rich the Bible is. It can use certain words that for those who were at the time the Bible was written, those who do the requisite study now, those who are saturated in the thought world of the Bible can just use certain key words that to the ancient mind especially, unfortunately many today have lost complete contact with that ancient mindset. But the Bible can use certain key words, and it conjured up all sorts of meaning, such richness, such wealth of concepts. And if we're going to be good Bible students, if we are going to seek to know, understand, and properly interpret the Bible, it is our obligation to get into that mindset. One of the worst things we can do, folks, when we're studying the Bible, is dig out a Webster's dictionary. Webster's dictionary is not going to give you what the German scholars call the Sitzenleben, the life situation, the true cultural, historical, socioeconomic, military, political context of these passages. Here's a prime example. In Matthew chapter 25, at the judgment scene, the Lord would say to those on the right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." Now, there's about a month's worth of everyday teaching in this one little verse. But I want you to notice that the word inherit here is a word that to any ancient Jew would conjure up all sorts of things. The word inherit and its companion word inheritance was to the ancient Jew inextricably bound up with God's promises of the land and the kingdom. When we come to the New Testament, we find the same key word being used by Paul and the New Testament writers, all of whom were Jews, all of whom said their eschatological hope was nothing but that which was promised to the fathers. It was promised to Abraham. Only now they see that inheritance as being fulfilled in Jesus Christ. Notice that Paul, once again, good faithful Jew, who said his only hope was the hope of the promises made to Israel. Yet he said in Galatians chapter 3 and verse 18, if the inheritance was by means of the law, then it was not by means of promise. But God gave that promise, the promise of what? Of the inheritance, to Abraham by promise. There's something very profound here. We'll have more to say about it. The inheritance given to Abraham. Well, what was the promise given to Abraham? What was the real promise given to Abraham? Well, Hebrews chapter 11 says it was a heavenly city and a heavenly country, and it was the resurrection. Hebrews 11, 13 to 16, Hebrews 11, 35. Now look, Galatians 3:16 says, the new heaven and a new earth and the resurrection was not supposed to come through Torah, through the law, but to Abraham. And here's what you have to catch. Paul in Galatians chapter 3 and 4 and 5 shows us that the inheritance not only was not supposed to be given, not only could not be given through the law, but the inheritance, what was the inheritance? New heaven, new earth. Isn't that what Matthew 25 is? Isn't Matthew chapter 25 the time of the resurrection, the time of the new heaven and new earth? Okay, so Paul teaches us in Galatians 3 that the inheritance could not be through by means of the law, but rather it was to be when the law ended. Oh my goodness, wait a minute. Orthodox Christianity says, no, the eternal inheritance, the new heaven and new earth, the resurrection, comes at the end of the new covenant age. No, that's not the truth. Paul said the inheritance would come at the end of Torah, the old covenant, at the end of the law of Moses. So when we find Jesus telling a parable that the inheritance would be given at His coming, and we read Paul saying the inheritance would be given at the end of Torah, that means that Matthew 25:31, the coming of the Lord with all of His angels to sit on the throne of His glory, would be at the end of the Old Covenant, the end of the law of Moses. Look, you need to get my book, Like Father, Like Son, in which I discuss the time of the inheritance, not under Torah, at the end of Torah. Get my book, Like Father, Like Son, on Clouds of Glory. Go to my book, eschatology.org, bibleprophecy.com. Order the book. Mention that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. Thanks so much for joining me for this morning's musings, and we will see you on the flip side.